The quantum anomaly detector in Dr. Elena Rodriguez's lab started chirping at precisely 3:47 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. She had built the device on a hunch, a wild theory that advanced civilizations might be using quantum entanglement for communication across vast distances. The scientific community had called her work fringe science. Now, as she stared at the incoming signal patterns, her hands trembled with the realization that she had been right all along. The message wasn't meant for Earth. It was a conversation between two advanced civilizations, discussing the expansion of something called the Arcturian Dominion into a nearby sector. Elena's translation algorithm was crude, but effective enough to understand the basics. They spoke of uplifting primitive species, of guided evolution, and beneficial integration. The condescension in their tone was unmistakable, even through the quantum noise. Within hours, Elena had contacted the United Nations Security Council. Within days, representatives from every major space agency and military organization were crammed into her modest laboratory in Buenos Aires. The implications of her discovery were staggering. Humanity was not alone, and more importantly, we were being watched. The Arcturians seemed to be the dominant force in this sector of the galaxy, Elena explained, pointing to her holographic display. They consider themselves shepherds of younger species, but their version of shepherding looks more like colonization with a friendly face. General Sarah Chen of the Pan-Asian Space Force leaned forward, her cybernetic eyes focusing on the data streams. How long until they notice us? They already have, Elena replied quietly. I've detected increased quantum chatter about Earth in the past week. They're discussing our potential. The room fell silent. Humanity had dreamed of first contact for centuries, but not like this. Not as sheep to be herded. We need to send them a message, said Dr. James Okoro, head of the African Union's Quantum Research Division. But not the usual "we come in peace" nonsense. They need to understand something crucial about humanity. Elena nodded slowly. We need to warn them. Over the next month, Elena and her team worked tirelessly to modify her quantum detector into a transmitter. Meanwhile, humanity prepared. The warning they crafted was polite but firm, a message that would either be heeded or become prophecy. When the quantum transmitter was ready, the message was broadcast across the cosmos. To all spacefaring civilizations, we are humanity of Earth. We seek peaceful cooperation based on mutual respect. We have detected your communications and understand your intentions. We issue this single warning. Do not attempt to subjugate or uplift us. We will defend our sovereignty with all necessary force. We prefer peace, but we excel at war. Your technological superiority does not guarantee your success. Consider carefully before you push us too far. In the grand meeting halls of the Arcturian Dominion, the message caused more amusement than concern. The Arcturians, beings of pure energy who had transcended physical form eons ago, found the warning laughably primitive. High Commander Zixtal, a swirling vortex of blue-white energy, addressed the Dominion Council. These humans have barely mastered basic quantum mechanics, yet they dare to warn us. Their audacity is almost admirable. Perhaps they will provide more entertainment than the usual species we uplift. First observer Narin, a more cautious entity, pulsed with concern. They detected our secure quantum communications. That alone suggests capabilities beyond their apparent technological level. All the more reason to guide them properly. Zixtal dismissed. Prepare the Enlightenment fleet. We will show these humans the true meaning of civilization. As the Arcturians launched their fleet, they remained blissfully unaware of humanity's true capabilities. They didn't know about Elena's other invention, a quantum-based defense system that could disrupt the very fabric of space-time. They hadn't noticed the thousands of stealth satellites humanity had been launching, each carrying experimental weapons designed by people who had spent centuries imagining how to fight advanced aliens. Most importantly, they didn't understand why humans always warned their opponents first. It wasn't out of fear or weakness. It was because humans, despite their love of peace, had perfected the art of war through millennia of fighting each other. The warning was a courtesy, a chance for peace, and the Arcturians had just ignored it. As Elena watched the quantum signals of the approaching Arcturian fleet, she felt a mix of sadness and determination. They didn't listen. She told General Chen, "They're coming to enlighten us." The general's cybernetic eyes glowed with a cold light. "Then they'll learn why we warned them. Activate the quantum defense grid. It's time to show the galaxy why humans don't make threats. We make promises." The Arcturian Enlightenment fleet emerged from quantum space at the edge of the solar system, their ships resembling cascading auroras of living energy. 300 vessels, each controlled by beings who had transcended physical form thousands of years ago. They had expected to find a primitive civilization scrambling in panic at their arrival. Instead, they found silence. High Commander Zixtal observed the solar system through his consciousness link with the flagship. The humans had primitive bases on their moon and Mars, rudimentary spacecraft that used chemical propulsion, and a cluttered orbital space filled with primitive satellites. Everything matched their intelligence reports. Everything suggested a species barely reaching for the stars. "Send the standard greeting packet," Zixtal commanded. "Let them understand the gift we bring." The message broadcasted across all frequencies, a symphony of light and energy designed to awe primitive minds. "Children of Earth, we come to guide you to greatness. Your resistance is unnecessary. Your civilization will be preserved and uplifted. Submit to the wisdom of the Arcturian Dominion." In her command center beneath the Atacama Desert, Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched the transmission with her team. The quantum defense grid hummed quietly around them, its true nature hidden beneath layers of seemingly primitive technology. "They really think we're going to just roll over," General Chen remarked, her cybernetic eyes processing multiple data streams simultaneously. "Status of Operation Honeypot. All decoy satellites are in position," Elena confirmed. "They're targeting exactly what we want them to target. The real defense grid remains undetected." The Arcturian fleet moved closer, their energy-based technology scanning Earth's defenses. They found exactly what they expected: conventional weapons, basic shield technology, and predictable defense patterns. It was almost disappointing. "Begin the standard subjugation protocol," Zixtal ordered. "Disable their primitive weapon systems. Minimal force only. We don't want to damage our new protectorate." The first wave of Arcturian ships descended toward Earth's orbit, their energy weapons powered up to deliver precise, disabling strikes. That's when humanity revealed their first surprise. The primitive satellites suddenly emitted quantum resonance fields that perfectly matched the Arcturians' energy frequency. The aliens' weapons, instead of disabling Earth's defenses, fed directly into the quantum defense grid, strengthening it. Impossible. Zixtal's energy form fluctuated with shock. "Their technology is too primitive for quantum manipulation at this level." Elena's voice broadcasted across all frequencies. "We warned you. Our apparent technological level was a choice, not a limitation. We learned long ago that appearing weak can be a powerful advantage." The quantum defense grid fully activated, revealing its true nature. It wasn't just a defensive system. It was a vast quantum entanglement web that could redirect and repurpose any energy directed at Earth. The Arcturians' own weapons became their weakness. "Second phase," General Chen ordered. Humanity's real weapons platforms emerged from quantum camouflage. They weren't the crude missiles and laser systems the Arcturians had detected. Instead, thousands of quantum disruptors aimed at the Arcturian fleet, each designed to destabilize their energy-based forms. "You rely too heavily on your advanced evolution," Elena's voice continued. "You forgot that sometimes a simpler approach can overcome even the most sophisticated technology. We remained partially in physical form because we recognized its advantages, not because we couldn't transcend it." The quantum disruptors fired, their beams invisible but devastating. They didn't target the Arcturian ships. They targeted the energy beings themselves, forcing them to maintain physical cohesion or risk dissipating into chaos. Zixtal watched in horror as a third of his fleet was disabled in the first attack. The humans hadn't just prepared for this battle. They had specifically designed weapons to counter the Arcturians' greatest strengths. Full retreat, he ordered, his energy form condensing in fear. They're not primitives. They're monsters. As the Arcturian fleet frantically attempted to withdraw, Alina sent one final message. We tried to warn you. Remember this lesson. Humanity's politeness is not weakness, and our warnings are not empty threats. We will defend ourselves with whatever means necessary. Now go and spread the word. Earth is not your protectorate. We are not your children to guide. We are humanity, and we forge our own path. The surviving Arcturian ships flood into quantum space, leaving behind their disabled companions. In the aftermath, Dr. Okoro's voice came through Alina's communicator. Should we begin reverse engineering the captured vessels? Yes, Alina replied, watching the quantum signatures of the retreating fleet. But more importantly, monitor their communications. I want to know how they explain this defeat to their dominion. Something tells me this isn't over. It's just changing form. The Arcturian dominion had not faced a military defeat in over 10,000 years. The loss of one-third of their Enlightenment fleet to a supposedly primitive species sent shockwaves through their civilization. In their vast council chambers, energy beings swirled in agitated patterns as they debated their response. First observer Naren, who had initially counseled caution, addressed the assembly. The humans didn't just defeat our fleet. They predicted our tactics and prepared specifically for our weaknesses. This suggests not only technological capability, but dangerous levels of strategic insight. High Commander Zixtal, his energy form still fluctuating from the humiliation, surged forward. They caught us unprepared once. It will not happen again. I request command of the main battle fleet. The Council, despite their shock, approved. 2,000 ships, the full might of the Arcturian Dominion, began preparations for war. But this time, they weren't alone. The humans had upset the balance of power in the galaxy, and other civilizations watched with interest. On Earth, Dr. Alina Rodriguez and her team worked tirelessly to understand the captured Arcturian vessels. The quantum defense grid maintained constant vigilance, but Alina knew the next attack would be different. They're adapting, she reported to the United Earth Defense Council. The quantum communications we're intercepting show they're developing countermeasures to our destruction technology. General Chen's cybernetic eyes flickered as she processed the data. Then we need to change the game entirely. Dr. Okoro, how's Project Prometheus coming along? The quantum physicist smiled. We've successfully reversed the Arcturians' energy transformation process. But more importantly, we've found its fundamental flaw. They can only exist as pure energy because they believe it's the ultimate form of evolution. And that belief is their weakness. Alina finished, understanding dawning in her eyes. They've forgotten that adaptation means maintaining options, not discarding them. When the Arcturian main battle fleet arrived 3 months later, they came prepared for Earth's quantum disruption technology. Their ships now generated anti-resonance fields, and their energy forms were protected by multiple layers of quantum shielding. What they didn't expect was humanity's complete change in tactics. Instead of facing an enhanced version of Earth's previous defenses, they encountered something entirely new. Thousands of small, stealthed craft emerged from quantum shadows, each piloted by a human consciousness temporarily transformed into pure energy, but one that could instantly revert to physical form. Impossible. Zixtal's energy form flared with shock. They've mastered state transformation, but they're still choosing to remain physical. Alina's voice, now a harmony of energy and matter, responded across the quantum plane. We learned from you, but we also learned from ourselves. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our adaptability. The human pilots shifted between energy and physical states at will, making them impossible to target with weapons calibrated for either form. They phased through the Arcturian shields, engaged them in energy combat, then reverted to physical form to use conventional weapons when the aliens least expected it. This is why we warned you. Alina continued, her consciousness dancing between states. Humans don't just learn from defeat, we learn from victory too. Every encounter makes us stronger, more adaptable, more dangerous when threatened. The battle transformed into chaos as humanity demonstrated warfare techniques the Arcturians had never imagined. Physical weapons combined with energy attacks, quantum disruption merged with conventional explosives, and human consciousness shifted forms faster than the Arcturians could respond. Dr. Okoro's voice echoed across the quantum plane. You assumed that transcending physical form was evolution. We saw it for what it was, specialization. And over-specialization breeds weakness. The Arcturian fleet, despite its overwhelming numbers, found itself fighting an enemy that refused to follow any predictable pattern. Every time they adapted to one human tactic, Earth's forces switched to another. It was warfare at its most unpredictable, a constant evolution of strategy and form. As his fleet suffered mounting losses, Zixtel finally understood the true meaning of humanity's warning. They hadn't been threatening the Arcturians with superior technology or military might. They had been warning them about humanity's fundamental nature, our relentless drive to adapt, improve, and overcome any challenge. Full retreat, he ordered for the second time. His energy form dimmed with the weight of comprehension. We cannot defeat an enemy who turns our every advantage into a weapon against us. As the Arcturian fleet withdrew, leaving hundreds more ships disabled or destroyed, Alina broadcasted one final message. Next time, bring diplomats instead of warriors. We're happy to teach, to learn, to cooperate, but only as equals, never as subjects. In the aftermath, General Chen found Alina in her lab, back in physical form, studying the battle data. They'll be back, the general said quietly. Yes, Alina agreed, but not to fight. They're beginning to understand what makes humanity different. The question is, are they ready to accept it? The Arcturian Dominion faced its first internal crisis in millennia. The council chambers, usually a place of serene deliberation, crackled with conflicting energy patterns as factions argued over humanity's place in the cosmic order. First observer Naurin, her energy form pulsing with urgent patterns, addressed the assembly. We've lost 3,000 years of technological advancement in these defeats, she projected, sharing battle data through quantum resonance. The humans aren't just using our technology, they're improving it. They're doing things with quantum mechanics that we never considered possible. The Council's response was immediate chaos. Some demanded a full-scale invasion of Earth with every available ship. Others insisted on immediate diplomatic contact before humans grew too powerful. A few suggested quarantining the entire solar system. Meanwhile, Earth had not been idle. In her laboratory complex, now expanded to a vast underground facility beneath the Atacama Desert, Dr. Alina Rodriguez stood before a holographic display showing the latest breakthrough. We've cracked their quantum propulsion system, she announced to the assembled leaders. But more importantly, we found a way to improve it. The Arcturians were so focused on energy efficiency that they missed obvious opportunities for innovation. General Chen, her cybernetic eyes now upgraded with captured Arcturian technology, studied the data. How long until we can implement these improvements? That's the interesting part, Dr. Okoro interjected, stepping forward. We already have. Every piece of Arcturian technology we've captured has taught us something new, and we've been implementing improvements in real time. The quantum defense grid isn't just defensive anymore. It's becoming a launching point for human expansion. The first human ships equipped with enhanced Arcturian technology were already under construction in orbital shipyards that had seemed primitive just months ago. But unlike the Arcturian vessels, these ships were designed to accommodate both physical and energy state crews, embodying humanity's philosophy of adaptability. In the Arcturian Dominion, first observer Naurin made a startling discovery. They're not just defending, she reported to the Council. They're preparing to leave their solar system. Our attacks have accelerated their development by centuries. High Commander Zixtal, still bearing the shame of 2 defeats, spoke up. Then we must strike now, before they. He was interrupted by a quantum surge as hundreds of human ships suddenly appeared throughout Arcturian space. They hadn't just mastered faster-than-light travel. They'd improved it to the point where they could bypass all of the Dominion's early warning systems. Dr. Elena Rodriguez's voice resonated through every quantum frequency. We could have attacked. We could have struck at your worlds while you debated our fate. Instead, we're here to demonstrate something else. The power of choice. The human ships, more advanced than anything the Arcturians had ever seen, took no aggressive action. They simply remained in position, a silent reminder of humanity's capabilities. Your civilization chose to transcend physical form because you saw it as the peak of evolution. Elena continued. We chose to master both forms because we understand that true evolution means keeping your options open. Your technology was impressive, but it was stagnant. You stopped innovating because you thought you'd reached perfection. General Chen's voice joined hers. We're not here to conquer or to enlighten. We're here to offer a choice. Continue seeing us as a threat to be contained, and we'll prove why our warning should have been heeded, or accept that different paths of evolution can coexist, and we can share knowledge as equals. The Arcturian Council chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. Humanity hadn't just defeated their military. They'd challenged the very foundations of Arcturian civilization. The belief in a single, perfect path of evolution was crumbling in the face of human adaptability. First observer Naurin moved to the center of the chamber, her energy form steady and resolved. I moved to open diplomatic relations with Earth, not as guides or superiors, but as equals. They have much to teach us about the dangers of assumed superiority. The Council's approval was nearly unanimous. Even High Commander Zixtal, after witnessing humanity's display of power and restraint, added his support. Perhaps, he admitted, it is we who needed enlightenment. As the human fleet maintained its vigilant presence in Arcturian space, Dr. Okoro contacted Elena from Earth. The quantum communications show they're serious about diplomacy this time. Should we withdraw the fleet? Elena smiled, watching the energy patterns of the Arcturian Council through their quantum link. Not yet. Sometimes the best way to maintain peace is to remind others why they chose it in the first place. They're learning, but let's make sure the lesson sticks. 6 months after the human fleet's demonstration in Arcturian space, the Great Hall of the United Nations in New York hosted an unprecedented gathering. Energy beings floated alongside human diplomats, while hybrid interfaces allowed communication across all forms of consciousness. The first Galactic Concordat was about to be signed. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the podium, her form shifting smoothly between physical and energy states as she addressed the assembled representatives of both civilizations. The ability to switch states had become a symbol of humanity's approach to progress. Not choosing one path over another, but mastering all available options. A year ago, we sent a warning to the cosmos, she began. Not because we wanted conflict, but because we understood something fundamental about humanity that others needed to learn. We warned potential adversaries not to push us too far, not out of arrogance, but from wisdom born of our own history. First observer Naurin, now serving as the Arcturians' chief diplomat, moved forward. Her energy form had adopted subtle patterns that mimicked human body language, one of many changes the Arcturians had embraced since their confrontation with humanity. We misunderstood your warning, Naurin acknowledged. We thought it came from primitive fear. Instead, it came from a deep understanding of your own nature and a desire to avoid unnecessary conflict. You knew exactly what you would do if pushed, and you tried to prevent it. General Chen, her cybernetic systems now seamlessly integrated with both human and Arcturian technology, shared tactical data from the conflicts. Every advance we made was defensive in nature, she explained. We developed energy state transformation not to conquer, but to understand. We improved quantum technology not to dominate, but to protect. Even when we demonstrated our power in Arcturian space, we chose restraint over revenge. Dr. Okoro, who had led the research into merging human and Arcturian technologies, stepped forward. The greatest discovery wasn't technological, he said. It was the recognition that true advancement comes not from choosing one path of evolution, but from maintaining the wisdom to explore all paths. The Arcturians chose energy. We chose adaptability. High Commander Zixtal, who had led both failed attacks against Earth, now served as the head of a new joint defense initiative. His energy form showed patterns of what humans had come to recognize as humility. We thought we were bringing enlightenment, he admitted. Instead, you enlightened us. You showed us that our perceived superiority had become our greatest weakness. The Galactic Concordat established new principles for interstellar relations. No civilization would force its path of evolution on another. Technological advancement would be shared, not imposed. Most importantly, it recognized that diversity, in form, in thought, in the very nature of consciousness, was not a weakness to be corrected, but a strength to be preserved. As Elena signed the document, shifting between forms to sign in both physical ink and quantum signatures, she reflected on how far both civilizations had come. The Arcturians had learned to value physical form again, while humans had mastered energy states without abandoning their bodies. Both had grown stronger by learning from each other. The warning we sent, Elena addressed the assembly one final time, was never about our military capability. It was about our nature. When threatened, humans don't just fight. We adapt, we evolve, we transform the very rules of engagement. We warned potential aggressors because we knew that pushing humanity too far wouldn't just lead to conflict. It would force us to exceed our own limitations in ways that would change both sides forever. Now Rin's energy form pulsed in agreement, and now we understand. Your warning wasn't a threat. It was an invitation to find a better way. You were willing to fight if necessary, but you were hoping for exactly this outcome: mutual understanding, shared progress, and respected boundaries. As the ceremony concluded, the quantum defense grid that had protected Earth now linked both civilizations in a network of mutual defense and shared knowledge. Human ships and Arcturian vessels patrolled together, each learning from the other's strengths. The crisis that had begun with a dismissal of humanity's warning had transformed into something unprecedented: true cooperation between different paths of evolution. Dr. Rodriguez stood in her lab one last time before it would be converted into the first human Arcturian Institute of Evolutionary Studies. General Chen joined her, watching the quantum displays showing ships of both species working together across the galaxy. "Do you think they finally understand why we warned them?" Chen asked. Elena smiled, her form shifting briefly to energy and back. "They understand the most important part, that humanity's greatest strength isn't our weapons or our technology. It's our ability to adapt, to learn, to grow stronger from every challenge. We warned them because we knew that pushing us too far wouldn't just lead to their defeat. It would force us to become something more than we were, something that would change the galaxy forever." "And we did," Chen agreed, watching an Arcturian ship practicing physical state transformations alongside human crews. Just not in the way anyone expected. The quantum communications network hummed with conversations between species, each learning from the other, each growing stronger through cooperation rather than conflict. Humanity's warning had been heeded at last, not through fear, but through understanding. The universe had learned why humans prefer to warn their opponents first, not because we fear conflict, but because we see the potential for growth in every challenge, even those we hope to avoid.